Watford 1, Chelsea 2. Chelsea do bounce back from their defeat against Leicester, most notably in person of Eden Hazard, who scored both goals on the night. Not the most beautiful of wins, but a win nonetheless, and today that's by far what mattered most. To find out everything about the game as it happened, make sure you watch all of this review. Hello there guys and welcome back to 100% Chelsea for my review of the Watford 1, Chelsea 2 game. And like I said in the intro, it wasn't a prettiest of wins, but it was a win nonetheless and hugely important 3 points. But let's see whether we can hit 400 or more likes in this video. That would be massively appreciated, so make sure you smash the like button down below. But now getting straight into the review and starting it off with the lineup. And it was actually completely unchanged from the Leicester game on the weekend, which did surprise me quite a bit, to be honest. I mean, obviously we know that Sarri, about Sarri, that he doesn't rotate all too much, but against Wolves, another midweek game in the Premier League, he did rotate quite a bit, so I did expect the same today, but that's not what happened. So we got a formation of obviously 4-3-3, and then Kepa Arrizabalaga and goal, a back four of Azpilicueta and Marcos Alonso as the two fullbacks, Antonio Rudiger and David Luiz as the two centre-backs, a midfield three of Jorginho, N'Golo Conte and Mateo Kovacic, and then a front three of Willian on the left, Pedro on the right, and Eden Hazard, down the middle. Although, again, obviously quite a lot of interchanging between those three. And to be honest, we had a good start to the game. Basically, we had all of the ball in the first few minutes, like literally all of it. We had good movement, quick passing, and that led to a decent chance within the first, 5 minutes for Pedro. Over a good 1-2 with Eden Hazard that ended in the Spaniard then putting his weak foot effort just wide of the post. So it was a pretty good start. Less than 10 minutes into the game, though. We were just starting a move from the back. David Luiz passed it back to the keeper Kepa, and then he just had a bit of a brain fart moment as he passed it straight to Deulofeu inside their own box. Obviously, he was trying to find Jorginho and, misplaced his pass a little bit and passed it to Deulofeu. Deulofeu, thankfully, took a bit of a heavy touch and then tried to backheel it to Troy Deeney, I think it was, and then, failed at that backheel basically, and Antonio Rudiger managed to intercept, thankfully. But, that was a bit of a scary moment early on. But from exactly that moment, we started a very nice attack, playing through the press of, Watford in that moment very well for Jorginho to then release Kovacic, in midfield, who made a good run in that midfield, covering quite a lot of ground before playing in Willian with a very nice pass down the left-hand side. Willian then went past the keeper, then went for goal from a very tight angle, but annoyingly only hit the outside of the post. But it was a good move and, just a little bit frustrated to hit the woodwork again. By the way, Chelsea have hit the woodwork the most out of any team, out of all teams in the league so far this season. That is obviously a little bit annoying. But that early dominance, that I just mentioned, slowed down a little bit and the game became, more even, at least for a little while. Because, after, like I said, a little while, we did pick up that domination again, as the half went on. I mean, we did play some nice and good combinations in midfield, but then that final ball just never seemed to find its target. Like, no matter who passed the ball, it didn't matter if it was Willian, Hazard, Pedro, any midfielder, it just wouldn't find its target, and it was very frustrating. Watford themselves did have a few almost moments and half chances, but nothing that ever seriously threatened Kepa in goal. But then with around half an hour gone, Eden Hazard kind of should have scored to take, to take the lead at the time. A good move that was finished off by a very nice low cross into the box by Azpilicueta, and only was narrowly missed by Eden Hazard in the middle, basically, just in front of goal. Or rather, Hazard missed the ball rather than, the ball missed Hazard. Because, he had a very similar one against Brighton when he kind of just missed the tap-in and he kind of misjudged that one went through with his right rather than his left, which would have been a lot easier. And he kind of made it a little bit more trickier for himself than it needed to be, but he ended up scoring 2 goals, so we might have complained. With 10 minutes to go into the first half, Watford had, their first big chance of the game. After a poor switch of play by, I think it was Kovacic, it might have been Alonso, but I remember it was with his right foot, so I very much doubt Alonso ever does anything with his right foot. So I think it was Kovacic. That was intercepted, but it then fell to Jorginho, who then also made a silly mistake, basically giving the ball away. Deulofeu then outpaced Antonio Rudiger, and then thankfully David Luiz put in a great block to keep out the strike by Troy Deeney, who obviously Deulofeu played in, and then Troy Deeney had the shot from inside the box, and like I said, David Luiz put in a great block to keep that one out. With only a few minutes to go in the first half, Pedro was forced to come off with an injury. Some sort of thigh injury, it looked like. He was then replaced by Callum Hudson-Odoi, which I was quite happy about. Not sure whether it was a hamstring injury or just a knock. I'm not quite sure what it was. Let's hope it's not too serious. But then even closer to the break, in injury time of the first half, Kovacic made use of a Watford mistake in midfield, was the quickest to react, took the ball, just a few yards forwards before playing in Eden Hazard in acres of space, because obviously Watford were just moving forward. And, Hazard ran towards goal and went around the keeper and then slotted it in for his 100th goal for the club to make it 1-0. But then only 2 minutes later, I was going to be more happy about this now, but only 2 minutes, later and closer to the break again, still in injury time of that first half. First, Rudiger dealt with a Watford cross awfully badly, like his header, when he tried to clear it, fell still down inside our box, actually closer to our goal, and Kepa had to make a really, actually good save just to stop Watford from scoring there already. But then led to a Watford corner, and from that corner, literally in the 4th minute of injury time in that first half, Watford equalised, actually through a great goal, whereas Holebas, played the corner right to Pereyra at kind of the edge of the box, or just outside the box. He was unmarked, and then Pereyra I'm pretty sure took it on the volley, unless I remember it incorrectly. No, I'm pretty sure he took it on the volley and put it right into the bottom right corner, unsavable for Kepa. And that was a great goal. I mean, you can talk about he should be, closed down a little bit more, but that was just a great strike. And I mean, it's the first goal from a set piece we conceded all season, so I don't think you can complain or too much about that one. Like, we don't get those wrong all too many times. And to be fair, it was just a great goal. And that was then obviously half-time at 1-1. Not a great half at all, but I didn't think it was bad either. Like, we created some decent chances, just lacked that finish or just got unlucky until obviously Hazard scored. And then, of course, even when we score in injury time, we can't get a break to take that positivity into the changing room, into the actual break. So, we had to concede that late equaliser with an absolutely banging goal, like I just mentioned. But the passing and movement was okay in that first half. I thought we just lacked people getting into the final third, which makes the decision making and just the final pass a lot easier because you have more options. And we just lacked that. We keep lacking that. Kovacic and the wingers just needed to get into the box a lot more to support, especially Eden Hazard. But then getting into the second half, Watford certainly had the better start to that second half, without being properly threatening, I might say, but, they certainly stopped us from doing much in the first 10 minutes, but only for 10 minutes, because that's, for 10 minutes or so at least, because that's exactly when Jorginho chipped a great ball over the defence to Hazard, who actually waited for way too long to do anything with it. I thought he was going to chip the keeper, who came storming out. But then, after waiting too long, he kind of turned real smart for a second, as kind of basically, as the keeper was about to clatter into him, he kind of just nudged the ball forward, and then the keeper wasn't getting any of the ball and just absolutely clattered into Hazard inside the box and obviously gave away the penalty. And then in the 58th minute, Eden Hazard stepped up himself to convert the penalty to make it 2-1. And that goal then did help, assert our dominance in the game again, trying to find that also sought after, obviously cushion goal. And it did take us a little while though to create our next chance, but when it did come in the 72nd minute, it was a big one, and it ended in Willian hitting the post for a second time today. A very nice attack, especially, started by Kovacic playing Hazard through down the left-hand side. The Belgian and cutting the ball into the middle, kind of cutting it back to the middle, where, in the middle of the box really, where Willian obviously made a great run to. But the shot of the Brazilian with his weaker left foot took a deflection between the legs of the defender and only scraped the outside of the post. A few minutes after that, we actually played a really nice counter-attack between Kante, who started it, playing it to Hazard, but continuing his run. The Belgian played it back to Kante with a very nice through ball, kind of cutting past 3, I think, defenders. The Frenchman then actually did go for goal, but annoyingly did drag his shot quite a few yards wide of the far post. With 10 minutes to go then, Ross Barkley came on to replace Mateo Kovacic, where Ruben Loftus-Cheek didn't even make the bench. Not quite sure whether he picked up a minor knock or whether he was simply left out. I hope he wasn't left out, because that would be a ridiculous decision in my opinion. And then in the 86th minute, Callum Hudson-Odoi had to come off again, after he only came on in the first half, for Emerson Palmieri. I mean, he might have picked up a small knock. Some people said, he was kind of holding his thigh. I'm not sure whether he did. It sounds bad, but I kind of hope he did, because, otherwise, I'm sorry, Mauricio, but otherwise that is ridiculous. That is a disgrace. Like, if you want to bring Emerson on for the last few minutes to see the game out, take Willian off. Like, Hudson-Odoi is quick, Hudson-Odoi is fresh, he was working really hard. Not much in the game, to be honest. Didn't really do all that much, didn't see that much of the ball, but was working really hard. So if you wanted to bring Emerson on for the last few minutes, take Willian off. Like, don't take the youngster, the 18-year-old, in his first Premier League, getting his first Premier League minutes of the season. Don't take him off, later in the game if you only brought him on in the first half. Like, don't do that. So, like I said, it sounds a bit wrong, but I kind of hope he was injured. And then in the last few minutes, even though, Watford obviously tried to get an equaliser, it was kind of just us that almost scored and made the scoreline bigger. Shortly after the substitution of Callum Hudson-Odoi, Jorginho went for goal from distance when a cleared ball after a corner landed at his feet. Actually a very good effort and only whizzed over the, inches over the bar. And then in the last few minutes, we kind of did have another couple or few almost moments through Willian and Rudiger that were pretty close to going in. Plus in the last minute when the keeper, Watford keeper Foster, went up for a corner. We hit them on a counter through N'Golo Kanté especially, and instead of going for an empty goal from, say, 35 yards, like he even had the time to sprint forward that far to only be within 35 yards of their goal, but he still didn't shoot, go for that empty goal. He just kept running until he was fouled. Fair play. It was only like a few seconds to go, so fair play. Then actually, Hazard still forced it. Another good save by Foster, literally seconds to play, shortly after that free kick, but that was then full time, a 2-1, obviously, or 1-2, whatever you want to call it, a 2-1 win for Chelsea. Anyway, But, you know, it was exactly the tricky game that I predicted and expected. You know, when I talked about it yesterday, Watford were in good form. They're a good team with, you know, good players all over the pitch. So it was exactly the tricky game that I expected, to be honest. And it wasn't a great performance, but it was an okay performance, I thought. Maybe even a decent performance, actually. I mean, it was also, to me at least, I thought quite visible that the players were a little bit down after the last result. Maybe I'm wrong there, but that's what I saw anyway. But there were quite a few things today that I really liked. Like the build-up play I thought was very good actually. But then just some poor decision-making, poor passes, or just a lack of luck, obviously, when hitting the post and stuff. And all of those things, especially in the final third, like with all of those things, we just didn't create as many chances as we would have liked, even though there was still plenty, you know, to score more. But, you know, it's still kind of just lacking, you know. It's kind of getting better and better, you know. Defense has improved, you know. We were very shaky at the start, even though we didn't concede all that much. We still were very shaky. I thought that has been getting better recently, even though, you know, obviously we lost the game, the last game. Midfield getting slightly better. Still think when Hazard plays up top, we need someone tall in midfield, no Kovacic. Even though Kovacic had a really good game, I'm going to mention that later. You know, but you know, we still need to improve a little bit more in that final third. It just needs more players getting into the box, because that makes everything easier. You know, it gives us more options. It gives us, you know, kind of time to kind of react to loose balls as well, to not be dispossessed and have to win it back, you know, further back on the pitch, if you will. So it just makes everything easy. We need to get into the box. Obviously, the fullbacks push up really high anyway. So the wingers need to get into the box. And at least one of the midfielders needs to push in there as well. That's why I like Ruben Loftus-Cheek to play there, because he does that the most out of all of our three, you know, players that kind of are options for the left centre mid spot. Now, I wanted to highlight a few performances of today who I thought were really good. You know, like Kovacic, David Luiz as well. Obviously, Eden Hazard. But then Eden Hazard gave a post-match interview, which I just caught before, you know, started recording. And, you know, that kind of takes up some of the recording time, as the video, I think, is already, you know, long enough. But I have to mention that because it's quite mad, actually. Because on Sky Sports, after the game, in his interview, obviously the second goal today was his 101st goal. And he said 101 goals with this amazing club is something I will never forget. Now, me, the fans, and this club want more. I would try to be a legend like Terry, Drogba, and Lampard. And, you know, I just quoted you that. Like, that's literally what he said. I mean, hopefully that's not just some players chatting shit, because that quite clearly says to me, you know, he's not going anywhere. And if he's not going anywhere, well, yes, please, very much. Like, thank you. I'm all over the place with my words right now. But, like, go sign a new deal and let's all be happy together. And let's win some shit, please. Like, that'd be absolutely great. Like, you know, that'd be great. Like I said earlier, let's hope Pedra's injury isn't all too bad. But yeah, I mean, other than that, City lost today again to Leicester. So unless both City and Chelsea are just absolutely awful, maybe we should just accept that Leicester are actually a pretty good team, and maybe on a bad day like we had a couple of days ago, it's actually okay to lose to Leicester and we don't have to lose our shit over it. Maybe, just maybe that's an option, because Leicester are actually a pretty decent team. And, you know, we're now just 4 points off Man City, who actually dropped behind Spurs by a point into third. And, you know, it's not all that bad. Obviously, City are quite a bit off Liverpool now as well, but still we're only 4 points off City. It can't be that bad. It can't be that bad, because City, in my opinion, are still the best team in the league, even though they've dropped quite a few points recently. And also Arsenal dropped points in Brighton today, which is very good and gives us a bit of breathing space until, like, outside of the top four. So that is obviously very good. Like I said, it wasn't very pretty, but we got the job done. And today, after a bad result on the weekend, that was what mattered the most. And so I'm very happy with the 3 points today. And now it's obviously on to Palace on Sunday. Of course, you know, leave me all of your thoughts on the game down in the comment section below. Who was your man of the match? Obviously, Eden Hazard, 101 goals for Chelsea. You know, let's hope that continues. Let's hope we can score, I don't know, 200 or whatever, because why not? You know, that'd be great. But any of your thoughts, leave it down in the comment section below. Like I said in the beginning, let's see whether we can hit 400 or more likes in this video. So make sure you smash the like button down below. Don't forget to check out my social media, which is Louse1507 on both Instagram and Twitter, as you can see over here. And also the links to both of them will be down in the description. So, you know, if you could follow me over there, I'd absolutely love you for it. And of course, this is YouTube, so if you haven't already, do make sure you subscribe to 100% Chelsea. And also don't forget to hit the notification bell button and choose to be notified about all uploads so you don't miss any of your future videos. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up the Chelsea, and I'll see you next time.